Hello, it is the 20th of December 2010, and this video I'm going to go over the four stages within this silver rally. The first one goes back to the start of this decade, or in around that time frame, when silver had bottomed at roughly around $4 an ounce. Was it obvious that 4 would be the bottom, or at least if you were to be buying on the way down, that it's at least unlikely to go anywhere below here? Well, maybe it might have, but when you were educated within the inflation going on, the money printing within this time, it would have been extremely obvious to be buying silver. But within these fire sale prices, who knew about this? I didn't. We weren't educated about this, but it sure as heck is happening now. And when we look at this even on a technical level, there was a great buying opportunity right here in 2006. It was so obvious. You had this little range in here where it traded, but it had a nice breakout. So now you want to see it sell off. So this is a good place too. But heck, you're so used to silver losing that you figure it's just going to top here and then boom, plummet to the downside. But obviously, had you have known how currency was created, it was another great buying opportunity. But on this level here, you've seen how it's just kept on making these nice higher lows, and it was breaking this resistance point of 8, which was tested twice. Very, very nice move. Had a big move from the 6 and change mark to over 14. And a somewhat similar kind of pattern happened again, where it made these higher lows within this test, and well, it had a little bit of a trap. And oftentimes, from failed moves can create fast moves. But when you're looking at this chart as it's playing out at this time frame, you've seen how this 14 level was broke, and now it's looking like support. So if this is a type of chart on your radar, then what you're now looking to see is some momentum from this support area start to go higher. You get your buy orders in. This means time to buy physical bullion silver, time to aggressively try to find deals to buy whatever kind of silver that works out. And when late 2007 came, that's when we had the Web 2.0, or the social networking, really starting to explode, and this information was becoming available towards us. And that brings us to stage 2, from 14 to 56. And I'm just making up a ballpark level. 14 was that nice resistance point, so I wanted to put that into play. But I was mentioning, look at the breakout here. Look at this gain that you had. And some might say, well, that wasn't a good time to buy because it got smashed. And well, if you're buying on this breakout and you have a gain that takes you up to 21 from that 15, that's a pretty decent size gain. But if you did hold, then obviously by buying at 15 then and still owning the silver today at $30 an ounce makes your investment worthwhile. Because we went to the question before, for those who were educated back in 2000, 2002, 2003, they knew to buy silver. And if you were educated back in late 2008, then you knew that these were great buying opportunities, because you knew how the money was created, and you knew the reason why the markets were going lower within the capitulation of the panic on the stock market. And it managed to keep going higher. So if we draw a line at that 14 level, or at least at the ballpark area of it, since this move has happened, it had a fake out. This is really a bear trap. Question is, how long are we going to stay in this range? When will when will we reach the 50 mark? For we could very easily have a situation where we trade something like this and then boom up towards the higher level. Now this chart would take us into late 2011, and this range could very easily be taken out sometime next year, early 2012. It's very hard to determine what's going to happen, as the most likely case is by going through these different scenarios will be that it'll be quicker each time. And I'm sure most of you have read this, but before in 2000, it was those extreme vast minority that were educated. And in this one here, if you're understanding what's going on, you're part of the vast minority. And if you're talking with other people, just socializing with the everyday crowd, you've probably realized that the vast majority have very little idea. Many of them know that there's at least some inflation, and they've seen it over the years. You couldn't miss inflation even if you really try to, because it's so obvious when you look at a longer term time frame. Oh, how much did it cost for a bag of chips back in 1971? One may ask, and then anyone who lived in that time frame would know, and they'll see the inflation. And when we get to the next stage, stage 3 of 4, a range between 56 and 300, approximately. And I've written here that current short-term inflation will be noticeable by many. And even though there will be many calling this area top, a large set of people will be thus educated to how the dollar is created and many other properties within it. The minority will now be educated, but nowhere near the vast where it was before. That means people who wouldn't even think about buying silver today, when they see a market go something like this, and they're like, oh, you know what? It's now at 50. It's like 65. I can't. It's just so cheap. I gotta get it now. I know. I wish I would have bought it when it was 35 and 30. And it would have been so awesome at 18 and 16. And well, I don't know how I missed that 10. And that's what will most likely happen within a stage within this area. There's more people which will understand what's going on, but it's still the minority that would be awake. The minority is anything, of course, under 50%. Now on stage 4, the final stage, I've arranged 300 to 1,000, and I've got the years up to 2014. This is where the market should correct itself and the currency is now dead or is on the respirator, meaning this would be the final stage of the currency's bubble, which would basically be the end of that particular fiat worldwide currencies. What would replace that? That's really anybody's guess. It's very unlikely it would be a silver standard. The only way I can see the market being backed by silver is if it's one of many different items of a basket of many different types of commodities. And there could be thousands. You could have anything really, as long as it's got real value. And the more that you have in a basket, the better it is for having less volatility. Now, that's like I say, it's anyone's guess how that's going to come into play. But what I feel is happening is that the majority of the people at this point are now educated to why this is happening. And it might be too late to get within the silver market. I'm expecting it to be giving that everything priced in silver will go lower. And by around this phase, what I think is probably expected to happen is all everyday products priced in silver are now going to bottom and thus start going higher. Everything right now in food, like even food, but so many different items are going lower in the price of silver. That means You can get more gasoline with your silver. You need less silver to buy your houses, and it'll probably continue for most assets to this range. And then it would have a good shot at least stopping for a little while. I'm actually kind of fearful of what gold will do when this stage comes into play. Not as much for silver, but even so for really many or all of these different inflationary protected assets. But the secret in making good decisions is to adjust the message of the market. So if you're trying to predict or decide what you're going to do in 2014 or 2013 by saying, okay, if the market does something like, say it does something like this here, what am I going to do? Well, you want to see what's going on, look at whatever new indicators that you have, and it makes it easier when you adjust to whatever the message of the market is, which really is ever changing in life. Then you make your adjustments based on that and try to find the best decisions that you possibly can. So thank you all for watching this video, and have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.